I'll be the first one to start the speech crying. I kind of expected him to end that speech with saying he had like a day to live or something. And I was rooting for it. Wow. Jeez. That was a beautiful ceremony today, especially if you were sitting right behind Tyler. Tyler's girlfriend told me earlier it was the most moving thing she's ever seen. That was a sex joke. We're starting. Grandma, just checking in. Can you hear? Good. Turn it on. We're good? Okay. Excellent. We're doing it. But it really is great to be surrounded by so many family and friends here, especially since so many of you were on the maybe list. That includes you, Grandma. You're the last cut. You were Joe's 4th grade teacher. So we'll see how your present goes. It was really cute to sit next to her during the wedding when Christina took like a second longer and Grandma turned to me and said, maybe she changed her mind. She was not joking. Just went for it. A cute lady. And then we asked her if she cried, and she said, I've seen a lot of people die, so this isn't really that big of a deal. So keep that in mind when you're getting married. It's really rare for a best man to be involved in how a couple got together, but I was able to do that. You know, Joe and Tina met online. What you might not know is she sent me 50 messages before she met Joe. And I had to block her because so many were inappropriate cat videos. Those poor cats. But I knew Tina was going to be a great part of this family when I saw her with my mom. My mom gives gifts for every reason possible. If you're wondering why you got a gift, it's probably close to Arbor Day. It's always a nice thought, but not one that any rational person would have. I remember the first time I saw my mom give Tina a gift that keeps giving, glass Tupperware. Tina was confused, of course, because again, it wasn't near any holiday. They had just met, and Arbor Day was 4 weeks off. Tina, God bless her, acted more excited than Joe and I have acted for any gift we've ever received from my mom. But it wasn't enough for Paula Cannon. My mom thought the only reason Tina wasn't more overjoyed was because she didn't understand the technology of glass Tupperware. And so she launched into a 5-minute speech about how Tupperware works. Tina, so with most Tupperware, you can't see inside of it because it's colored. Now with glass Tupperware, you don't have to open it to see what's inside. You'll be able to see through it due to the glass. Think of the time you'll save. And then Tina was like, oh, I get it now. This is better than I thought. And my mom said, it truly is. And it was at that point I knew Tina could get along in our family. And then my mom said, also, if you need a new toaster, I ordered too many. Feel free to take one on your way out. And it was that point that I realized how lucky we are to have Tina. But moving on to my brother, who I saw cry today for the first time. That was cool. I was very emotional. I've only seen him cry when he broke his ankle, so I guess that's what marriage is to you, a broken ankle. Adorable. Very cute. He's born to Paula Cannon and my dad, Pat Cannon, who met at a bar, because where else would you meet my dad? Besides maybe another bar. And Joe and I have not always been on the same page with what we like and what we enjoy. We've been different people since the beginning. Legend has it that my dad was driving us to the San Diego Zoo and we were listening to Sunday Night Football and the Jets were playing the Dolphins. I'm only tearing up because I'm thinking about the Dolphins. And Joe announced in the car, "I love the Jets." Bold move. Joe's always been confident. And then I announced, "Well, then I like the Dolphins." From that point on, neither of those teams have ever had a significant victory. But a sibling rivalry was born. Joe and I have had different tastes for our entire life. He liked MTV, I liked Nickelodeon. Joe liked girls, I liked Nickelodeon. Joe cared about sports, fashion, and music. I wondered if deodorant caused cancer. It does. And so we've had different experiences, but the one thing Joe and I connected on was professional wrestling. That was the thing. Pro wrestling brought the whole family together, except for my mom, which is the way we wanted it. I'm kidding, I'm so sorry. That came up in my head during it, and I couldn't say no. We would watch wrestling together. Joe and I had all the toys, we had all the games, we had everything that was WWE. We even filmed our own pay-per-views for the Pillow People Wrestling Federation, which is now defunct. Joe's finishing move was taking off his shirt, sticking out his tongue, and then humping the pillow into submission. That's not even made up. But I do want to ask, Tina, is that Joe's finishing move to this day? Just wanted to see. Can I get some water?
Yes, sorry.
This is an $8 bottle of water. I charged it to Joe's room. But there was, Joe, we just never got along, and there was this point where this toy came out. It was called WWE Slam Cam. And it's the greatest toy ever invented. The WWE got into the digital camera space because a lot of people were wondering where they were. And so what you could do with this camera, I thought it was the best thing in the world. You could take a picture of yourself, you could cut it out, you go ahead and put it on The Undertaker's face if you wanted to. You could cut your face out, put it on Stone Cold Steve Austin's face. And you could cut your face out and put it on the Great One's face, The Rock. And that's all it could do. And I thought that was the coolest toy in the world. And I had to have it. And I saved my money and shelled out $74 for Vince McMahon's version of Photoshop. And we brought the toy home, and Joe and I tried to install it. And we realized we had a very old computer. And so Joe had an idea. What if we just delete some stuff? And I was like, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard. That's why we teamed up. Because Joe was just as excited as me. And so we got on the computer and document by document, memory by memory, gone. Because we were going to create new ones. Joe got tired and went to sleep, but I wanted to impress Joe. We'd never bonded that closely before. And so I stayed up and continued to delete things. But then I had to go to bed too. It was past my bedtime. I went to sleep. And in the middle of the night, we just heard this noise. Boys, get up here! That was my dad. And Joe and I raced up from bed because we probably spelled something wrong on a term paper. And we stood next to each other like tin soldiers. And we just looked at my dad. And my dad was staring at the computer. And he just said, boys, where is Microsoft Word? You see, I had deleted Microsoft Word to install WWE SlamCam. And Joe and I, every other time in our lives, had ratted on each other immediately. But this was professional wrestling, so we stayed mum. And then my dad asked a great follow-up question, which was, by the way, where is Microsoft? I had deleted the entire operating system to install WWE SlamCam. But Joe and I stayed silent, like a great tag team. And then my dad said, my closing argument is on that document. It's tomorrow. It's a murder trial. And then I said, did you know you can cut your face out and put it on The Rock's face? And my dad said, I don't care about The Rock, which we know is not true. We had survived the interrogation by one of the best lawyers in California because of pro wrestling. What you're probably wondering is, did an innocent man go to jail? Hard to say. But what I can tell you is two little boys' dreams of seeing their faces on The Rock's face never came true. And that's a fate worse than prison. Or death, in this case. Joe and I eventually faded off of wrestling, stopped watching, and then a few years ago, I started watching again. And it's not as good. But it reminds me of hanging out with my dad and my brother. And so I called Joe, and I said, do you want to maybe see a live show? And Joe said, yeah. And I thought, that's never going to happen. And then Joe bought me WrestleMania tickets. And we flew to WrestleMania. I had 101-degree fever. And Joe watched 7 hours of wrestling, not having any idea what was going on. And he nursed me back to health with beer and pizza. And then we walked through the ghettos of Orlando at 2 o'clock at night because Joe then decided he wasn't going to pay for an Uber. But I was never scared because I was with my brother. Tina, what you're getting is somebody who is considerate, compassionate, and one of the best people I know. I guess what I'm trying to say is Joe is The Rock. And The Rock is my hero. So raise your glasses to Joe, Tina, and the WWE.